The BRICS group, currently made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has 2 new African members. Egypt and Ethiopia are among the 6 nations set to join this group of emerging countries on January 1st. Algeria was also among the candidates but didn't make it to the club. To talk about what Africa expects from the BRICS group, I am joined from Johannesburg, where the BRICS summit was held, by Priyal Singh, a researcher at the Institute for Security Studies in South Africa. Priyal Singh, hello, and thank you for joining me on Business Africa. So how important is the arrival of 2 new African members to the BRICS group?
Well, I think it's a positive development that more African states have been added to the group. I think most of us are currently interested in trying to understand exactly what was the selection criteria that was used specifically for these 2 new countries, Egypt and Ethiopia. I would presume that there are a number of other African countries that thought that they would also make excellent candidates. And I'm sure there must be some form of disappointments and also some form of confusion across the continent as to why specifically Ethiopia and Egypt were included in the grouping and not other large influential members from West Africa, also from North Africa, and so on. Overall, I think it is a positive development, and I think it's important to note that this does change the political dynamics in the BRICS grouping, as South Africa is no longer the sole African voice for the BRICS grouping as a whole.
Has the summit changed the way Africa views the group? I mean, in a broader perspective.
Yes, I certainly think that the Johannesburg BRICS Summit has changed Africa's collective views of the BRICS grouping as a whole. I think certainly the Johannesburg Summit was definitely one of the more prominent BRICS summits than we've ever experienced before. And I think this signals the rising ascendancy and influence of BRICS as a collective, as a voice for the Global South, as a voice of the Global South. And I think a lot of African countries are looking to the BRICS grouping as the kind of leader for the Global South, the leader to champion the voices of the Global South. So I think a lot of African countries are trying to engage more comprehensively and coordinate their actions with the BRICS grouping so that countries within the Global South can work collectively to leverage their collective weight and influence in the international system to challenge the dominance of many Western powers that have held sway over the system for many years.
During the summit, we learned about the disappearance of Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner militia and his associates, all key players in the group's activities in Africa. How do you see the future of African countries close to Russia?
The security situation in many of these African countries that did use the services of the Wagner Group, their security situations haven't changed, despite the passing of Prigozhin, which means that the market gap in security that Wagner was fulfilling all of this time is still there. So there's still a demand for the services of these kinds of private military contractors across the African continent due to a whole host of reasons in terms of governance failures, security shortcomings, and so on. So the demand still exists, and I would assume that that demand would still want to be fulfilled by Russia, whether it's through Wagner, whether it's through other private military actors coming from Russia and so on. I believe that the demand is still there, and that Russia is willing to service that demand in Africa.